right, Newsom on direct, and let's go. What a beautiful day! What a beautiful day! What a beautiful day! And let's work. Well done is better than well said. We'll quickly change the background over here. We need a nice, beautiful background. And where are we starting? Where are we starting from? All right, let's put this down. Today we had a nice French lesson as well. That was amazing. Just talking to my teacher and thanking her for all the work she had done. That was amazing. And yeah, it's really important that we appreciate the journey so far. We achieved C1 in reading. C1 is expert level, which is amazing, which is like above intermediate. That is incredible. And now we will go for B2 everywhere. All right. Number 23, 1.5 seed round. Number 25, 120 million Series A atom splitting. Damn. All right. What do we have? 23, 1.5 seed round. Announce our first institutional partner at Valor Atomics. Wide Ventures has invested 1.5 million to accelerate the build out of our LA-based team. More on that below. Announcing 1.5 million investment from Wide Ventures, first of many. It's time to build. All right, that's all on Apple Notes. Okay, today Valor Atomics became the first startup in history to split the atom, announcing Project Nova series of zero power critical test on Valor Atomics Nova Core in collaboration with Los Alamos, NSERC, and NNSS. I'm going to go for the first time this morning at 11:45. Okay, this is what we're looking for. Project Nova critically achieved. Collaboration between Valor Atomics, Los Alamos National Laboratory, Nationally Critically Experiments Research Center, Nevada. Okay, Project Nova series of zero power critical experiments on the Valor Atomics Nova Core. Became the first startup in history to split the atom, announcing zero power critical test on Valor Atomics Nova Core in collaboration with Los Alamos. Okay, subset of our WAD 250 core using the same moderator fuel and reactivity control, taking Nova critical gives us real world data about the characteristics of a geometry and control scheme and allows us to test our models and simulations against reality. Close partnership of Los Alamos, which all do extremely important work to maintain our nation's nuclear capabilities. Historic day for nuclear and for Valor Atomics, but it's only the beginning. The president has ordered 3 advanced reactors on American soil by July 4th. Okay, making power in WAD 250 remains our goal for the pilot program, and Nova gives us the data we need to move quickly. Once again, humbled to be working with Valor Atomics team. This is the smartest, hardest working, and most motivated group of people I have ever had the pleasure of working with. I've seen them perform miracles. Together, this team will make the world's energy cheaper. All right. What does it mean to split the atom? Let's see. Here's a clean way to look at it. Okay, show me the clean way. And what is this clean way? Okay. Causing a nuclear fission reaction, taking the nucleus of okay, by the way, I just had this idea. We need to remove intelligence artificial from here, pushing the limits of intelligence to advance humanity. Pushing the limits of intelligence to advance humanity. Okay, that's it. That's all we need. All right. Pushing the limits of intelligence to advance humanity. And why is there a full stop? Because it is good. What if we make the P bigger? No, not the same vibe. But what if we remove the full stop? Pushing the limits of intelligence to advance humanity. Okay, perfect. Splitting the atom means causing a nuclear fission reaction, taking the nucleus of a heavy atom, uranium-235, plutonium-239, forcing it to break apart into 2 small nuclei. Massive energy is released. The binding energy inside atomic nuclei is enormous. When the nucleus splits, that energy is free. Millions of times more energy per unit mass than chemical reactions like burning coal or gasoline. Neutrons fly out. The split typically ejects 2 to 3 neutrons at high speed. Those neutrons can hit other atoms, chain reaction. If those free neutrons hit nearby atoms, they can split those atoms too. That chain reaction is what powers the nuclear reactors. This was a zero power critical test. That means they reach the point where each fission causes on average one more fission criticality, but at extremely low power, so it's safe. It's like verifying that your engine can turn over without hitting the accelerator. Okay. Very big technical regulatory milestone. Massive energy is released, neutrons fly out, chain reaction is made zero power critical. Okay. Making nuclear reactors. It's not just that we build War 0 in 10 months. It's not just because we are the most capital efficient nuclear company in the world. It's not just because we split the atom. It is all of these things. But here's what struck me the most. Our crack team of 50 took precisely 8 minutes to break focus and hear the news that Project Nova went critical this morning. A genuinely historic moment that puts Ball Atomics as one of the most important companies in the world, and then went straight back to work. No one on the planet can outwork this team. We are going to win. Christian, husband, father, previously 2X founder, takes are very personal. Asteroid mines just dropped last week. Dan Skolin spoke in front of US space leaders on a subject that's been weighing on him. He's bored by space. By that, bored with low Earth orbit. Small cheap launch. Still, the entire commercial space economy is largely wanting communications along with some imagery and positioning services. We keep launching more satellites with better bandwidth and the same business model, a single node band, as he calls it. We have the physics figured out, we have the technology, we have the capital, yet somehow 2025 there's virtually no manufacturing happening in space, no asteroid mining, no wealth being extracted from the solar system, none being brought back to Earth. Where are my asteroid mines? Per Aspera. This is interesting. Where are my asteroid mines? Bored with low orbit. We haven't seen Doodly squat from space. What do we want to do in space? Consider the platinum group metals: palladium, rhodium, iridium, osmium, ruthenium. Comes from one place, South Africa, which controls 75% of global reserves. There are obvious problems there. Depths often exceed operation 60% loss making, and the number of operational shafts has collapsed in the last 2 decades, but its geopolitical vulnerability dressed up as mining operation. Solar system form: heavy metals sank to planetary cores. On Earth, platinum lies thousands of feet down, but asteroids are unformed planets. Same composition with PGMs accessible at the surface. Hayabusa 2. We have proved the technical concept for commercial asteroid mining is viable. Hard, sure, full of challenges yet, you bet, but we can do it. Manufacturing opportunity ahead of us. A tin can in space for a quarter century while the militaries are pointing weapons at each other. Something fundamental, that the absence of gravity enables manufacturing that's physically impossible on Earth. What is the WADA? This reminds me of WADA. Okay. Uh-oh. Subscribe to keep reading. Oh no. Reaching, not incrementing. Congratulate my successor Jared Isaacman on his recognition as NASA administrator. Jared gets what needs to happen. Commercial operators need to take over LEO. Transition and go beyond it. It's time to diversify beyond a services based LEO economy. We need serious commercial efforts to make and return products from space. Already coming together, more capsules are returning to Earth, and the downmass bottleneck will ease as re-entry technology proliferate. 8-year sprint from 25 to 33, not 15 years of planning and 20 years of incremental progress. 8 years. We delivered Delta, Atlas, Titan, Minuteman. More than 8 years, we landed and returned safely. Eisenhower asked for an ICBM in 8 years. What is ICBM? What is ICBM? Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. Multiple rocket families became foundation of both space program and mini modern. Build the hardest rocket tech humanity has ever attempted. Okay. Interesting. Sunday Robotics. Stanford PhD dropout ex DeepMind. Sunday Robotics. What is Sunday Robotics? Leave it to Sunday. November 19. That's Tide Pods. November 19. This looks cool. Buenos Aires. Okay, we need to mute Ted over here because that's not the work that we are looking for. That's not the stuff we are looking for. Introducing our app, a smarter way to save. This is interesting. When we look at Aave, that reminds me of. That reminds me of. That reminds me of. Oh my God! So many robots. Teal, tangible. The world was built around humans. Eggy doesn't just look human, interacts like us. Dexterous, mobile, compliant, smartest robot to ever walk on Earth. Join us. But okay, what was I looking at? Okay, Prometheus is also very interesting. Oh my god. Okay. But Aave reminds me of the designer. The designer's name is. Oh my god, what was his name? So he's. Oh my god, I cannot look at this. The designer works at Base now. And. Da, 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 and da, 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 he should be over here somewhere. Dockers are out on Base app. Okay, Momentum, Carolina. New creator coin, global campaigns with Nike, Vogue, and runners will launch in apps used by thousands. Community has grown with her from Costa Rica to New York. Want a piece of the story? Welcome to Base app. And an OG founder in the Base app. Artist, brand ambassador. Caro. Is not affiliated with Carolina. This is not investment advice. Okay. Interesting. Laura Shin. Oh, Unchained. The future of media won't just be about crypto. It will be built with it. Unchained Pod has a new home. Okay, that is cool. That is cool. Utopia. What I'm looking for is the designer at Base app. You have invites. Your friends want in. Do the math. 10,000 people in the Base app beta. Just got a fresh batch of invites. And more are rolling out this week. Make sure notifications are on. Okay. Base app design. I forgot his name. Marketer shares how the team's been working all year to make the best app possible. It looks like he's in Bali or something. Data-driven designs. Da, 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 da. Sarah Wolf designed 4 core experiences. 18 July. Rahul Luthra. Base 44 Partners Directory. Head of design. Oh yeah, right here. Benji, I forgot his name. 4,000 words on how you approach building family with 50 plus visual examples. Enjoy. Oh, this was 8 November. Okay. Spinning up first of its kind design engineering team at Base and actively hiring. And there's a difference between Base and Base app. This is so fast. That is incredible. Argentina and Latin America will be the center of Asia. Something special for holders. Shape your journey. Perfect Pixels co-founder Cat Down Base.
My name is Tara Falkner. I'm from Ireland, and I'm one of the builders and co-founders of CatTime. I grew up in Donegal, which is like it's a very rural part of the country.
Perfect Pixels co-founder Cat Down Base. Cat Down Base. Cat Down Villager. Base Ambassador Ireland. Okay. On-chain world where you take on the persona of a cat. For rural Ireland to community that's donated 30k charities worldwide.
Grew up on a farm. My dad's actually a farmer, and originally he started in like the milk industry in the 90s, but it actually became unprofitable and became monopolized pretty much. One thing I did have was a very loving family and a very strong sense of community, which is something that I see in crypto that it is so community focused. For me, I've always been drawn to technology because I grew up in a rural area. There was like no kids my age, so I kind of had to entertain myself. I got a computer and I was messing with things, planes, and all those sorts of things. I really started to gravitate towards visual design in digital space because I just thought it just seemed like a perfect combination to bridge traditional and digital together. Got into crypto in 2020 with my now fiance and also co-founder in CatTime. So I started with small amounts of trading to then gradually go up, and then I found myself in between jobs. And at that time, my fiance he left his job in traditional finance to go into trading. And at that point, we wanted to work together. We just decided, you know what, we'll give ourselves 3 months. 3 months, see what happens. We just started building. We just came up with a concept. We registered Cat.time. Cat.time is an on-chain game being built on Base where you take on the persona of the cat. We wanted to create a game that we would all play. I am a big fan of like cozy life simulation games, like Harvest Moon and all these kind of like ones where you can put yourself in character and you can like grow things, talk to people, form relationships, and that's something that we want to encompass in CatTime. By playing CatTime, you can earn our native token, Kibble. Kibble is an ERC-friendly token, and they've taken that and actually donated it to animal charities. They've gone out, taken that kibble, bought actual food for animals, and donated it. And I think what I want, to be honest, because there's so many strong projects and so many strong communities that are building on Base at the moment, and you can just see that it's just getting stronger with new projects emerging, and Base trying to demystify the crypto community and try to humanize it a bit more. The possibilities that I want for CatTime are endless, but I want it to be a globally recognized brand. My advice to people who are thinking about building on Base is to just start. There are incredible tools. There are documents. One of the co-founders of CatTime, and we're building on Base.
Interesting. I like the branding as well. Due to technical difficulties, live stream has been moved to later today. Oh wow, what is this? This is beautiful. This is beautiful. Wow. This is beautiful. Base. Okay, this is really nice. 8 hours ago, Buenos Aires. Imagine Base posting from here. Beautiful. The blue hoodie is just pure. Lots of blues. Buenos Dias. Wow, nice. Are you definitely interested in jobs at Base booth?
I just wanted to drop a quick reminder video to let you know that the Base team will be at the Base booth all week, so come say hi. I'll specifically be hosting a recruitment activation from 1 to 2 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. Each day will have a different focus. Tomorrow's focus will be on the engineer team. Come meet some of our Base engineers. Wednesday's focus will be on our global growth team. Come meet some of the leaders around the world activating Base in their local ecosystems. And Thursday's focus will be non-technical. We'll have people from business development, marketing, communications, and emerging talent as well.
Whoa, that's a sick photo. Meet the builder behind CatDown Base. This is the bleeding edge of technology, so it's hard to pay attention to anything else.
Anymore. Feels like sports. I don't pay attention to sports. This is the bleeding edge of technology, so it's hard to pay attention to pretty much anything else.
Watch the full video. Base layer, live stream, Bondi. Basis for believers. Basis for believers. Basis for believers. Connor Hooliman. On-chain recruiter for Base International Ecosystem Training for a Marathon. Average golfer. Enjoyer of dubstep. Opinions are my own.
I'll be co-hosting with some of my colleagues from the Global Growth. And on the 20th, I'll be co-hosting with some of my colleagues. Coming on Chain in Mexico is about adoption.
Why did you choose to build a bank?
There's a lot of doors that you can open in the future, and also to have fun with everyone here. Right now, I think that this is one of the most instrumental elements in the crypto industry. Mass adoption is going to happen on this chain. There's a lot of opportunities here.
What needs does crypto need for the problems of your local community?
Very fast transaction, low processing fees. You can send money through your family and don't have any problem. I have a very big opportunity to connect with another communities too.
This is here in Mexico, and we're here to invest into Mexico, and we're here to bring the world on chain. So thanks so much for coming.
We know Zen. Okay. Country lead based in Mexico.
Chain in Mexico is about adoption.
She was ex Meta.
There's a lot of doors that you can open in the future, and also to have fun with everyone here.
Base Latam.
For airdrop farmers, and there's honestly like a lot of almost hatred for airdrop farmers. And what I said this morning is, airdrop farmers are people who want to come and participate in this new economy and earn from it. And right now, maybe they don't have the best opportunities, and they're checking boxes and going down lists. But it's our job as builders. The guy that broke the record.
Homebase.love.
Does not get better than that, Scott.
Mini app session. Argentina. Es hora de construir. Really cool. What is the same one? Hello from Buenos Dias. This is Jesse Bays. I'm curious that updates from some friends. Let's see. Wow, I actually forgot the name of this one friend who was leading. But okay, let's go over here. Prometheus, Project Prometheus. Since you've all naming convention, yeah, probably because in first part of Prometheus' story, he steals fire from the gods and gives it to humanity. Oh wow, oh wow. Okay, that was the story. But we shouldn't ignore the second part of Prometheus' story. The gods punish Prometheus by tying him to a rock, and a giant eagle eats his liver every day. Then Hercules breaks the chain binding Prometheus to the rock and kills the eagle. Today on the show, we extend the Promethean metaphor to encompass the full story. Who's Hercules, who's rock, who's eagle? Attacking the liver part was a metaphor for addiction.
John, what happens to Prometheus?
You had a really good run. Prometheus, everyone seems to focus on the first part of the story of Prometheus, and they name their AI project. So Mark Zuckerberg named his AI data center cluster Project Prometheus as well. Now Jeff Bezos has also called AI Project Prometheus. People love the Prometheus brand. No one can seem to properly trademark it. I don't know what's going on in the legal division of Bezos family office or whatever's going on there. But they're both using Prometheus, and it's a very odd story because in Greek mythology, Prometheus is a titan responsible for creating humanity in its earliest days. He defied the Olympian gods by taking fire from them and giving it to humanity in the form of technology. And so it's a great analogy. We're stealing fire from the gods and giving it to us. And AI is fire, and this is what we're stealing, yes? And so it creates knowledge and civilization.
Fast forward a little bit.
He gets punished.
Project Prometheus. Project Prometheus.
So it's not a good thing for Prometheus. He gets punished for stealing fire from Olympus and giving it to humans.
How does he get punished?
He gets bound to a rock, and an eagle, which is the emblem of Zeus, is sent to eat his liver every day, and then it would grow back.
They are the chances. Everybody wants to steal fire from the gods, so nobody want to have their liver eaten by
And so his liver grows back overnight, only to be eaten again the next day in an ongoing cycle. And I was thinking about what is the metaphor here? Let's continue to extend the metaphor. Like, what is the liver in this metaphor of like the big AI project? And then what is the eagle? Is it possible that the eagle is like blue owl? Is more of an owl. Maybe blue owl is coming to eat your liver, and the liver is the free cash flow that you had on your balance sheet. Because if you want to I just there's a lot of free cash flow. But less and less as you sign these big jet deals and cash flow. But less and less as you sign these big jet deals. And the blue owl comes and eats your free cash flow. Every day for all of eternity. Eventually, there is a little bit of a reprieve because Hercules comes and breaks the chains of Prometheus, and Prometheus is freed and his liver grows, and Hercules slays the eagle. And so I think obviously in this analogy, what do you say would be Hercules in this analogy? Jerome Powell, who comes in and slays the debt dealers with low interest rates, right? And so maybe we can see where this metaphor is going. They're all winking. Both Zuck and Bezos are winking and saying, hey, come lower interest rates, save us, because we're about to get our livers eaten with our Promethean stardust.
Cognition, the makers of Devin. Devin is the AI software.
Okay, really cool. Really cool. Project Prometheus is right over here. Let's see. So Jeff Bezos, along with artificial intelligence startup reportedly co-led by Jeff Bezos, engineering, manufacturing, hardware, physical systems. I think this is the interesting part. If the CEO of your company leaves your company and works on a different opportunity, that basically signals to all the employees of the first company that, oh, if the smartest person in your company thinks there's a better opportunity over there, what am I doing over here? What am I doing over here? So the smartest people who have the option, they will do the same thing. They'll be like, oh, so that's where the opportunity is. He doesn't think that opportunity is here anymore. Manufacturing, hardware, physical systems, computers, automobiles, aerospace, rather than just consumer or pure software AI. The startup is reported to have raised about $6.2 billion early funding. Co-CEO alongside Bezos' Vic Bajaj, physicist, chemist, formerly Google X and Verily. Vic Bajaj, okay. Indian co-CEO. Let's go. They have already had 100 employees from leading AI firms, according to the news. The focus on industrial manufacturing engineering is less common compared to consumer app or software models. This could put the startup at an intersection of AI hardware production systems, experience technologies, and a strong network strategic capability and possibly access to big industrial engineering partnerships. Align with your background. Exact product roadmap, commercial strategy, business model, go-to-market sectors are still undisclosed. I think this is the interesting part. This is like he's going through that entire Elon phase where you are like, oh, I'm out of the company. There's this new leader. I'm going to spend some time. I'm going to enjoy some time. I'm going to do some philanthropy work. But then you realize that, oh no, I'm missing out. I'm missing out. I'm missing out on those skills. I'm missing out on those skills where I used to every day operate, and being an operator, I miss that. So what do? Then you start selling all your yachts, and you're like, oh, I want to go back to building. Sell all your yachts, and you're like, I'm back over here. Sell your houses, sell your yachts, and everything. Still undisclosed manufacturing vertical they are targeting. The geography where the company is based, overall operate and timing. Unclear. Strategic shift. Yeah, recently he's been. This is interesting. I don't think we have a company website received as much attention for his personal life as his businesses, including an extravagant celebrity-filled wedding in Venice this year. He has also become more closely involved in Blue Origin and has shown increasing interest in the race to build AI. His new company now firmly plants him in the middle of the competition, entering an increasingly crowded AI market with smaller companies trying to carve out niches in a race with industry giants. Pioneering companies like OpenAI and Anthropic has until now kept a low profile, and when it was started is not even clear. The Moonshot Factory. Co-founder Sergey Brin. Okay, physicist, chemist. Ambitious projects including Wing, drone delivery service, and the self-driving car that became Waymo. Research are dedicated to life sciences that Waymo and Wing is operated. Foresight Labs. He recently left the job to focus on Project Prometheus, according to 3 people who spoke to the condition of anonymity. Wave off. It seems like they figured this out. Mr. Bezos invested in physical intelligence, a startup that is applying AI to robots. It's interesting how they say Mr. Bezos. But for Elon, I think they just said Elon Musk. applying AI to physical tasks, including robotics, drug design, and scientific discovery. Several prominent researchers left Meta, OpenAI, Google DeepMind, and other AI projects to found periodic labs, accelerate discoveries in areas like physics and chemistry. Okay. Periodic labs. All right. Co-creator ChatGPT periodic labs. Let's see. Periodic labs. Okay, right over here. Today we introduce periodic labs. Our goal is to create an AI scientist. Science works by conjecturing how the world might be running experiments and learning from the results. Intelligence is necessary but not sufficient. New knowledge is created when ideas are found to be consistent with reality. New knowledge is created when ideas are found to be consistent with reality, and so at Periodic we are building AI scientists and the autonomous laboratories for them to operate. Until now, scientific AI advances have come from models trained on the internet, but despite its vastness, it's still finite. Estimates are 10 trillion text tokens, where one English word may be 1 to token. And in recent years, the best frontier AI models have fully exhausted it. Researchers seek better use of this data, but as any scientist knows, though rereading a textbook may give you new insights, they eventually need to try their idea to see if it holds. Autonomous labs are central to our strategy. They provide huge amounts. I think this is it. Like, AI has to, you have to use AI to do something in the physical world. You cannot just play with it in isolation. They provide huge amounts of high quality data. Each experiment can produce GBs of data that exists nowhere else. They generate valuable negative results which are seldom published, but most importantly, they give our AI scientists the tools to act. We are starting in the physical sciences. Limited by our ability to design the physical world, we are starting here because experiments have high signal to noise and are relatively fast. Physical simulations effectively model many systems, but more broadly, physics is a verifiable environment. AI has progressed faster in domains with data and verifiable results. For example, in math and code, here nature is the RL environment. Discover superconductors that work at higher temperatures than today's materials. Significant advances could help us create next generation transportation and build power grids with minimal losses. Just one example, if we can automate material design, we have the potential to accelerate Moore's law, space travel, nuclear fusion. We're also working to deploy our solutions with industry. As an example, we are helping a semiconductor manufacturer that is facing issue with heat dissipation on their chips. Semiconductor manufacturer that is facing issues with heat dissipation on their chips. We are training custom agents for their engineers and research to make sense of the experimental data in order to iterate faster. Our founding team co-created ChatGPT, DeepMind's Genome, OpenAI's operator, now agent, the neural attention mechanism. The neural attention mechanism. The neural attention mechanism. What is that? Manage and have scale autonomously. Key idea behind modern AI models. It tells the model what to focus on in a sequence, like giving the network a spotlight to highlight the most relevant words or bits of information. Before attention models read text strictly left to right, right to left attention. Let's model look anywhere in the input and assign importance dynamically. Understanding long-range dependencies, massively better reasoning, translation. Neural attention mechanism. Okay. Understanding long-range dependencies, massively better reasoning, translation improvements, the creation of the entire transformer architecture, the modern AI boom itself. One of the inventors of the original neural attention mechanism from the 2014 paper, Neural Machine Translations of Flex, the founders literally helped create the mathematical idea that led to GPT. It's a flex. Invented in the neural attention mechanism of key combinatorial transformers, agents in RL, service now research. Abhijit Gagan. Deployed web search in ChatGPT. Core 1 team. Oh. Co-creator Tulu. Co-creator. This is crazy. Like Rohan Pandey, Naveen Menon, Raytheon and Tesla, Manshij Paul, Databricks, Rishabh Agarwal, Meta Superintelligence, Advanced LLM Distillation, popularized. We have come together to scale up and reimagine how science is done. Coach Felices Hanabi, Professor Caroline Bertozzi, Professor Mercury Kanadzidis, Professor Steve Kivelson, Stanford University Department of Physics, Bio, Professor Chris Wolverton. Get in touch. Where do you take me? Oh, you take me to. Okay, over here. Perfect. Already hired nearly 100 employees. Well-known AI companies including already working on technologies meant to accelerate. Recently won a Nobel Prize in Chemistry for the work on of a full executive at these companies. Another in the field often say large language models will soon achieve significant scientific breakthroughs. Already approaching this goal in areas like math and theoretical physics. Of focusing on systems that can also learn from the physical world. Periodic Labs has 300 million backing, plans to build its own lab in Northern California where robots will learn scientific experiments on an enormous scale by analyzing physical trial and error. At least in theory, Project Prometheus will explore similar work according to people familiar in the company. Says. Interesting. Let's go over here. Those limiting the laws of code, craftsmanship, as AI takes away the need for ingenuity and endurance. I get it, but I'm old enough to remember my own lament when optimizing compilers took away the need for hand tuning assembly. We lived on. We just found other peaks to climb. Oh, Max Levchin. That's Max Levchin. Oh my god. Okay. I realized that later. Max Levchin. But deep down, most of us still miss the thrill of that hand-tuned assembly and shaving clock cycles. Been seeing a lot of people bring back their adventures with PDP-11 or other classic Unix boxes. Interesting. Okay, Sufyan Malik. Okay, we got a new podcaster. New podcasters in town. You can have a billionaire co-founder Vivek Ramaswamy, Happy Lathir and JD Vance on the board and still struggle to fundraise if investors exclude with the thesis of the problem and vision. Well, in some cases it does happen, not always. Kobe on fundraising dynamics. Kobe is CEO, former Palantir Tech chapter, Medicare advisor improving how seniors choose health coverage. Okay. Ask chapter Medicare made simple. How to get most value from Medicare, when to enroll, Okay, interesting. There are sometimes you have to, like, as a world, if you want to progress as a world, sometimes we have to work on these tiny improvements, and these tiny improvements can lead to something massive. You cannot straight go to something massive. Very interesting. Alright, Dwarkesh has something interesting. Blog is insanely good. Scattered thoughts. Let's go. Riot just became a tier 0 venture firm. What is Riot? Riot. Okay, interesting. The atom split. We did it. This is amazing. Chief of Staff behind the scenes, where Atomics, formerly State Department, Alam Wait, I know her. Charlotte Nazarian. Yes. The atom split. We did it. So many questions in good health. The atom split. Riot just became tier 0 venture. Who's Jack? Jack is Enduril. Quick update. Sponsor revenue over 1 billion per year, gross profit growing 10x faster than the median publicly traded software company growing faster this year, significantly larger scale than it did last year. Announced 300 million 30 billion.
AI is just an incredible accelerant for the business itself. There's pull from customers. Everyone's thinking about how can I take what's happening in AI and apply it to my business. And there's a push of these models getting dramatically better. And so outcomes like automated expenses, automated accounting, moving funds higher yield for customers are just coming out of the box. And so, I would say to sum it up, I think for many millennia, money talks, we're keeping money to think. And I think the implications of that are pretty profound. Better run businesses, more profitable organizations.
Profound. Get your brand mentioned in ChatGPT. Reach millions of consumers who are using AI.
Profound. Yes, yes, yes. Let's go. Well, really great. All right, so I just shared one of the podcasts from David Senra with one of my buddies. It was Rockefeller. Cool listening. A lot of really great takeaways in this, particularly about non-diversifying. I've never been a fan when you know you have got a bit of go all in. Summing up this video up, go big, go home. Thanks for sending along, bro. Saying hi. Let's go. Keep going. Yes. Yes. Okay. What do we have? We are all in the gutter, but some of us are looking at the stars. High agency, life is a high agency. Optimism, life is a video game. Low agency, pessimism, life is a simulation. Life is a video game, life is a simulation. Interesting. Interesting.
Hi, I'm Laura. I'm a researcher at Pi. We wanted to see whether we could get a robot to actually help us operate a non-coffee bar. In order to start this experiment, we went to a local coffee shop and worked with professional baristas in order to understand what the robot could do alongside a person to be helpful. One of the aspects that makes this really difficult from the low-level control side is tool use with a lot of precision. So picking up that order filter, inserting it, aligning it, and locking it in. In addition to that is the liquid handling for this task. So the robot needs to be able to pour without spilling, and that requires really smooth setting in.
There's a little bit of hesitation that is like very human-like, which is interesting.
Now the robot can make all sorts of drinks like Americanos, lattes, style shot espressos.
Oh, no. We're not blocking this guy. Okay. Oh no. So Professor UC Berkeley, co-founder of Physical Intelligence. Okay. 113, let's go. Interesting guy.
To understand how to make our models truly useful, we partnered with Dandelion Chocolate to explore automating some of the repetitive tasks in production. So the reason we chose Block Token is it's actually not just something that's valuable to Dandelion, but it's a really great testbed for our method. In the past, automated tasks like this would require specialized, expensive machinery that often doesn't make economic sense. What makes block building challenging is that for it to be useful, it needs to run for many hours without human intervention. Any mistake along the way could mess up the blocks, mess up the label, and send the robot right back to the start. By training merely on utility operated demonstrations, we tend to produce policies that fail fast and struggle to recover. By learning from experience and guiding correction,
ADX.
we are able to teach the policy how to recover from difficult situations and avoid taking risky actions that might increase the chance of failure.
Hey, what's up? To make robots useful in the real world, they need to be able to go outside the lab. People need to be able to bring them into their homes to have them actually be useful things. And in this experiment, we wanted to.
Oh wow. Wow.
People need to be able to bring them.
Risky actions that might increase the chance of failure.
Hey, what's up? To make robots useful in the real world, they need to be able to go outside the lab. People need to be able to bring them into their homes to have them actually be useful things. And in this experiment, we wanted to test exactly that. Take it into a home that's never been in before, give it clothing items it's never seen before, and see if it can fold them effectively. A lot of our prior models learn from supervised data demonstration data. With our new approach, we wanted to see if we could have a model that could learn from its own experience. And doing this allows us to see its own mistakes and learn how to correct them. And we found that for this laundry task, these models that are trained with their own experience tend to be more decisive and have more successful outcomes as a result. We're super excited about this experiment. We found that we could just bring a robot into a home as it did before, land it off the table, and it did a very reasonable job of folding a lot of different unseen laundry items. Things are still far from perfect, but we're really optimistic about the progress we've made so far.
Put some respect on Gundo. Wow. Wow. That's incredible. This is incredible. Automating laundry is truly one giant step for mankind. Automating laundry is truly one giant step for mankind. Sergey Levin, let's go. What incredible thing to get to tweet about your company. Today became the first startup in history to split the atom. The most frustrating and lonely thing in the world is to be able to see something so clearly and beautifully in your mind, but somehow fail to get other people to see what you see. Oh no, what did you see? The most frustrating and lonely thing in the world is to be able to see something so clearly and beautifully in your mind, but somehow fail to get other people to see what you see. What do you see? The first of many atoms. Velar will split. Okay, Fifi Lee. There's nothing artificial about AI. Oh wait, is Lenny now working with A16Z? Okay. Fifi Lee, there's nothing or maybe they're picking up clips from other podcasts now. They're like, okay, we can just pick from other podcasts now. There's nothing artificial about AI. It's inspired by people, it's created by people, and most importantly, it impacts people. I think this is the reason why we have removed artificial intelligence. It's just intelligence, pushing the limits of intelligence, to advance humanity.
This was when we were presenting at conference. There's nothing artificial about AI. It's inspired by people, it's created by people, and most importantly, it affects people. Another question, what a great point.
Yeah, I feel pretty deeply. I started working in AI 2.5 decades ago, and I've been having students for the past 2 decades. And almost every student who graduates, I remind them,
Godmother of AI. There's nothing artificial about AI.
tech companies avoid using a
A lot of people call you the godmother of AI. The work you did actually was the spark that brought us out of AI literature.
in the middle of 2015, middle of 2016, some tech companies avoid using the word AI because they were not sure if AI was a dirty
The term AI has become a dirty word in world of marketing.
because they were not sure if AI was a dirty word. 2017-ish was the beginning of companies calling themselves AI companies.
Which is like, I think this was when we were presenting at conference. There's nothing artificial about AI. It's inspired by people, it's created by people, and most importantly, it affects people.
It's not like I think AI will have no impact on jobs or people. In fact, I believe that whatever AI does, currently or in the future, is up to us. It's up to the people. I do believe
Well, the sponsor he has Figma. Okay, just works. Simple software export support for payroll. Okay, VR Cinch. Finding the way the world communicates. Business rely on power, engaging experience by messaging. Okay.
technology is a net positive for humanity, but I think every technology is a double-edged sword. If we're not doing the right thing as a society, as individuals, we can screw this up as well.
Yeah, that's right. They're excited of just, okay, we can train machines to think like humans, but it's just missing the data that humans have to learn as a child.
I chose to look at artificial intelligence through the lens of visual intelligence because humans are deeply visual animals. We need to train machines with as much information as possible on images and objects, but objects are very, very difficult to work. A single object can have infinite possibilities that is shown on an image. In order to train computers with tens and thousands of object concepts, you really need to show it millions of examples.
AGI isn't even close. AGI isn't even close. Oh no, she's saying the same thing. Okay. But the backstory image then robotics faces unique challenges compared with language models and what's needed to work on them. AI won't replace humans, but it requires to take responsibility for ourselves. Why world models and spatial intelligence represents the frontier next with AI beyond large language models. The surprising applications of hundreds of AI, regardless your role, much more. Okay, thank you to Ben for suggesting some great questions, topics. Okay, so what we will do is we will go and summarize this video. Okay, let's go. And we'll show ChatGPT the transcript. Okay. Alright, summary. The godmother of AI, Fifi Lee, on jobs, robots, world models. Original modern AI, Fifi Lee recounts AI's 70-year history, early AI logic systems, early neural nets, expert systems, rise of machine learning models that learn patterns rather than rely on rules. Models that learn patterns rather than the big bottleneck, not enough clean labeled data. How mission sparked the AI revolution? Progress required massive, high-quality labeled images. Okay. Build ImageNet, 50 million carefully curated images across 22,000 categories. Ran the annual ImageNet challenge. Hinton's team used ImageNet plus GPUs plus neural nets, AlexNet, the breakthrough that triggered deep learning. This golden recipe. Data, neural nets, GPUs is still the foundation of LLMs today. Why she's an optimist about AI, not a utopian, but believes AI is a civilizational technology. Double-edged sword. Outcomes depend on human responsibility. The key is human-centered development. Pushes people across professions to engage with AI, not fear it. AGI, a marketing term, not a scientific one. Draw a sharp line between AI and AGI. AGI has no clear definition. Models today are impressive, but nowhere near scientific abstraction, creativity, or emotional intelligence. From observation, emotional intelligence. What's missing today? Spatial intelligence. Don't just use language, use 3D understanding. Modern AI can talk and generate images, video, but cannot understand or reason about physical space reliably. Count chairs in a room. This is the motivation behind world models. AI systems that can generate 3D models from text or images, let you navigate, interact, modify objects, enable reasoning inside environments, planning paths, manipulating the world, unify robotics, simulation, perception, creativity, design, scientific reasoning. This goes far beyond video generation. It's about giving AI a mental model of physical reality, introducing Marble. My robots are harder than language. Needs action data, not just video, which is scarce. They operate in messy 3D, contact-rich physical reality. I think that's the reason why tele operation is actually the way to do robots, because that is the way that robots will learn, because there's not enough data, and they need data for that. They need to learn how this all works. Building robots, hardware, software environment, not just a model. She cautions that robotics progress will be long-term, like self-driving cars. Building AI careers, courage and intellectual fearlessness. Joining the right communities, mentors, and ecosystems, focusing on mission, passion, and team, not FOMO. Stanford's HAI High Human-Centered AI Institute to ensure AI benefits society, not just tech companies. So final message: AI should never diminish human dignity. Everyone, artists, nurses, farmers, teachers, has a role in shaping AI. Is not replacing humanity. It's a tool that amplifies us. Wow. Okay, we need to look for the philosophy.
What does it take? For example, just like how big is the team? How many GPUs you work with? Like anything you can share there. I don't know how much of this is private information, but just what does it take to create something like this that you've launched here?
It takes a lot of brain power. So we just talked about 20 watts per brain.
Fifi Lee reminds me of someone that I know. She looks like someone that I know. So weird.
It's so from that point of view, it's a small number, but it's actually an incredible, it's a half billion years of evolution to give us those power. We have a team of 30-ish people now, and we are predominantly researchers and research engineers, and but we also have designers and product. We actually really believe that we want to create a company that's anchored in the deep tech of spatial intelligence, but we are actually building serious products. So we have this integration of R&D and productization, and of course we use a ton of people. Expensive having to here.
Well, congrats on the launch. I know this is a huge milestone. I know it's took a ton of work.
Thank
So I
you.
just want to say congrats to you and your team. Let me talk about your founder journey for a moment. So you're a founder of this company. You started how many years ago? A couple years ago? 2, 3 years ago?
A year ago.
A year ago.
Plus.
A year. Okay.
Probably
Wow.
18 months. Yeah.
Okay. What's something you wish you knew before you started this that you wish you could like whisper into the ear of Fei like 18 months ago?
Well, I continue to wish I know the future of technology. I think actually that's one of our founding advantage is that we see the future earlier in general than most people, but still, man, this is so exciting and so amazing that what's unknown and what's coming. But I know the reason you're asking me this question is not about the future of technology. You're probably more, look, I did not start a company of this scale at 20-year-old. So, I started a dry cleaning when I was 19, but that's a little smaller scale. And then I, founded Google Cloud AI, and then I founded an institute at Stanford, but those are different beasts. I did feel I was a little more prepared as a founder of the grinding journey that I compared to maybe the 20-year-old founders. But I'm surprised and it puts me into paranoia sometimes that how intensely competitive AI landscape is from the model of the technology itself as well as talents and when I founded the company, we did not have these incredible stories on how much such a talent would cost. So these are things that continue to surprise me, and I have to be very alert about.
The competition you're talking about is the competition for talent, the speed at which just like how things are moving.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned this point that I want to come back to that if you just look over the course of your career, you were like at all the major collections of humans that led to so many of the breakthroughs that are happening today. Obviously, the internet, also just Sail at Stanford is where a lot of the work happened, and Google Cloud, which is where a lot of the breakthroughs happen. What brought you to those places? Like for people looking for how to advance in a career, be at the center of the future, just like is there a through line there? Just what moved you from place to place and moved you to those roots that lead you here?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, Lenny, because I do think about it, and obviously we talked about it's curiosity and passion that brought me to AI. That is more a scientific North Star. I did not care if AI was a thing or not. So that was one part. But how did I end up choosing the particular places I work in, including starting World Labs? Is I think I'm very grateful to myself or maybe to my parents' genes. I'm an intellectually very fearless person, and I have to say when I hire young people, I look for that because I think that's a very important quality if one wants to make a difference. Is that when you want to make a difference, you have to accept that you're creating something new or you're guiding something new. People haven't done that. And if you have that self-awareness, you almost have to allow yourself to be fearless and to be courageous. So when I, for example, came to Stanford, in the world of academia, I was very close to this thing called tenure, which is have a job forever at Princeton. But I chose to come to Stanford because I so amazing at Stanford, and the Silicon Valley ecosystem was so amazing that I was okay in taking the risk of restarting my tenure block. Going to becoming the first female director of SAIL, I was actually, relatively speaking, a very young faculty at that time, and I wanted to do that because I care about that community. I didn't spend too much time thinking about all the failure case. Obviously, I'm very lucky that the more senior faculty supported me, but I just wanted to make a difference. And then going to Google was similar. I wanted to work with people like Jeff Dean, Jeff Hinton, and all these incredible dentists, the incredible people. So the same with World Labs. I have this passion, and I also believe that people with the same mission can do incredible things. So that's how it guided my through life. I don't overthink of all possible things that can go wrong because that's too many.
I feel like the core element is not focusing on the downside, focusing more on the people, the mission, like as you said, moving.
I do want to say one thing to all the young talented AI engineers, the researchers out there, because some of you apply to World Labs. I feel very privileged to be considered World Labs. I do find many of the young people today think about every single aspect of an equation when they decide on jobs. And somewhere, maybe that's the way they want to do it. But sometimes I do want to encourage young people to focus on what's important because I find myself constantly in mentoring mode when I talk to job candidates, not necessarily recruiting or not recruiting, but just in mentoring mode when I see an incredible young talent who is over focusing on every minute dimension and aspect of considering a job when maybe the most important thing is where's your passion? Do you align with the mission? Do you believe and have faith in this team? And just focus on the impact and you can make the kind of work and team you can work with.
Yeah, it's tough for people in the AI space now. There's so much effort, so much need, so much happening, so much going on.
That's
I
right.
can see the stress, and so I think that advice is really important. Just like what will actually make you feel fulfilled in what you're doing, not just where's the fastest growing company, where's who's going to be. I don't know. Let me make sure I ask you about what you're doing today at Stanford at the HCI, HAI, Human Centered AI Institute. What are you doing there? I know this is what you do on site still.
So yes, HAI, Human Centered AI Institute, was co-founded by me and a group of faculty like Professor John Edge-Medley, Professor James Valley, Professor Chris Manning back in 2018. I was actually finishing my lab-centered AI framework and from medicine to education to sustainability. The technology is we need to bring everybody on board. So we created multiple programs from Congressional Bootcamp.
Well, I was not aware of all that other work you were doing. As you're talking, I was reminded Charlie Munger of this quote: "Take a simple idea and take it very seriously." I feel like you've done that in so many different ways and stayed with it, and it's unbelievable the impact you've had in so many ways over the years. I'm going to skip the lightning round, and I'm just going to ask you one last question. Is there anything else that you want to share? Anything else you want to leave listeners with?
I'm very excited by AI lending. I want to answer one question that when I travel around the world, everybody asks me is that if I'm a musician, if I'm a teacher, middle school teacher, if I'm a nurse, if I'm an accountant, if I'm a farmer, do I have a role in AI, or is AI just going to take over my life or my work? And I think this is the most important question of AI. And I find that in Silicon Valley, we tend not to speak heart to heart with people like us, and not like us in Silicon Valley, but like all of us. We tend to just toss around words like infinite productivity, or infinite leisure time, or infinite power, or whatever. But at the end of the day, AI is about people. And when people ask me that question, it's a resounding yes. Everybody has a role in AI. It depends on what you do and what you want, but no technology should take away human dignity. And the human dignity and agency should be at the heart of the development, the deployment, as well as the governance of every technology. So if you are a young artist and your passion is storytelling, embrace AI as a tool. In fact, embrace art. I hope it becomes a tool for you because the way you tell your story is unique and the world still needs it. But how do you tell your story? How do you use the most incredible tool to tell your story in the most unique way is important. And that voice needs to be heard. If you're a farmer, near retirement, AI still matters because you're a citizen. You can participate in your community. You should have a voice in how AI is used, how the AI is applied. You work with people and you can encourage all of you to use AI to make life easier for you. If you're a nurse, I hope you know that at least in my career, I have worked so much in healthcare research because I feel our healthcare workers should be greatly openly and helped by AI technology, whether it's smart cameras to feed more information or robotic assistants, because our
Okay, this is pretty cool. Let's look at this. Thoughts on AI consciousness. Okay, this is interesting. Millennials as a forever generation. Okay, August 4, 2025. Continued learning explains some interesting phenomena in human memory. The mirror prediction is not omniscience. Most algorithmic progress is... Okay, I'm really curious. Millennials as the... Okay, super long. We'll start from the bottom and see if we understand this. There seems to be a necessary balance to make between understanding the external fundamentals and the contingent and correctly distinguishing which is which. It is unclear to what extent there is an inherent cognitive trait versus part of the actual underlying hardware. Certainly, we would need to become minds which can both remember and recall extremely long experiences and necessary while maintaining a core of flexibility and processes which can independently continue learning. This necessity able to identify periods of curiosity, generation, novelty. Human's mind can do this naturally even without the declining fluid intelligence caused by neuronal aging. Empirically, it seems that some do and some don't, and that this is deeply related to intellectual curiosity and a level of cognitive flexibility which seems mostly innate. If there is some process by which minds naturally gain rigidity and lose plasticity as they learn more, then that will become a fundamental problem bottleneck, and those agents which can avoid this will have strong long-term advantages, even potentially, while being on a short-term disadvantage. Similar to economic compounding, mental compounding might be a thing with a similar effects. Okay, we will have the singularity if all goes well and we successfully double S create self-create aligned AI systems. Humanity will continue to exist but in an entirely new phase. This will likely include the vindication of much of the early transhumanist visions, such as anti-aging and mind uploading. Undoubtedly, there will be many changes, but one thing I want to highlight is that we will likely quite rapidly successfully solve aging in this transition to a world of negligible senescence and indefinite life extension. Biological humans might still be able to die, but they will stop aging, making the unrealistic assumption of a world much like today, but where humans do not age. Demographics will still profoundly shift. The mortality distribution will change from being super exponential curve to a slow exponential curve of natural causes, with the average human lifespan likely lasting for at least several thousand years until one of some kind of fatal accident or disease. Of course, in a true post-singularity world, final death will become even rarer because of the ability to back up multiple copies of your mindset in various secure locations around the solar system and ultimately the universe, which will make actual irreversible death almost impossible for a very long time indeed. For a long while, this seemed like the distant future. But with rapid advancements in AI, it seems likely that we will see all of this unfold very quickly, probably within the next 1 to 4 decades. For instance, when I was a teenager before the recent AI progress, I used to be very worried whether we would successfully solve aging in my lifetime. Progress there seemed extremely slow. Indeed, it was extremely slow. I used to think about concepts like longevity, escape velocity. I'm not going to think about this over much because it is so obvious that we will reach a singularity before the natural lifespans of myself and most of those around me. Although anti-aging progress seems slow, now it will probably be quickly solved once aging and the singularity is here, and once solved, will be rapidly diffused across the population. Successful anti-aging will mean that humanity enters a new interesting new phase of existence, one where generations accrete rather than replace. This will change many dynamics that we otherwise take for granted and means that the first generations, which are probably going to be millennials, so Generation X could have it an eternally locked in outside world in the future. In some sense, we are cosmically lucky to be a member of one of these generations. Boomer generation having outsized influence, power, and longevity, where politics, the arts, even our cultural consumption of time is deeply rooted in the boomer phenomenology. This was also true of prior generations, such as the W1 generation under the 50s. My prediction is that, counter to the current doomsaying, our millennials will end up remembered as the cosmic eternal boomers, where millennials will be the one astride all the commanding powers of positions of power, influence, and wealth when we reach aging as a singularity and anti-aging. And then, like the boomers, millennials will largely never retire, never pass on their wealth, and never give up their positions of cultural prominence. 5 to 15 years for AGI, and then 10 to 20 years after that for widely rolled out and accessible ILE for currently existing humans, accompanied, of course, with a large amount of other classic transhumanist technology. In the conservative case, this is a 35-year lag time from today to ILE, assuming an average life expectancy of 80. Then somebody age 45 today has a pretty good chance of reaching ILE, and somebody age 35 has a very good chance. Age 45 pretty much demarcates the millennial generation from Gen X. Clearly, this cutoff won't be exact, as many people live significantly longer than 80 timelines, but from reasoning, it seems quite possible that significant fractions of currently existing millennials will live through the singularity and beyond to reach ILE, while larger portions of earlier generations will fail to make their cut. Millennials stand a good chance of becoming the first major generation to pass from the mortal pre-singularity world to an immortal post-singularity existence. This means that today's millennials stand a good chance of becoming some of the oldest minds in the human-derived light cone. First for every generation. Somewhat important in the economy, and that we have recognized building the society is made up of individual agents instead of rapper minds that are waging genocidal paperclip wars against each other. The shift from a world of mortal generation replacing one another to a world of immortals accreting on top of one another will change the fundamental dynamics of human history. Many more fundamental dynamics beyond just biological immortality for existing humans, but just for fun we can try to trace out some of the consequences of moving to an immortal a creative society in a somewhat business as casual scenario, where we still have a capitalist style economy comprised of many cognitively limited agents like we have today. We just all submitted the utopia of the Alliance Singleton on that we all might merge into some collective, just all societal mind on various other increasingly weird possibilities. The aggregate probability of these weird possibilities vastly exceed the business continues mostly as usual with a normal capitalist human society continuing to exist, except with anti-aging that I describe above. Even so, it's interesting to speculate about the obvious effects of anti-aging in an all things held equal world. Perhaps the first and most obvious is that longer lifespans privilege longer time horizons of today actions today. People rationally have a higher discount rate for many actions. Money today is better than money tomorrow. For money you may be dead. Similarly, people need investments in education or in children to pay off within the relatively few decades that comprise the working lifespan. Immortality lifts all these constraints. Time horizons should become very long indeed. This will result in people making much deeper and longer lasting investments that can make sense today. Increasing shares of resources will go towards agents with the longest time horizons and which optimize for far future utility rather than today's utility. The fact that greater time horizons will tend to win out will ultimately create societies with elites with exceptionally long time horizons indeed. Perhaps this will be wiser in a sense, but things will certainly likely be more conservative and more carefully controlled. Savings in today's savers have short time horizon of utility of perhaps 50 to 60 years in the future. This could become thousands of millions of years in the long run economically, resulting in a glut of savings which will lower the equilibrium interest rate. Being the least powerful force in the universe, one of the most powerful today, compound interest is powerful intra-lifetime for those who tend to act with long time horizons but relatively weak between lifetimes because many resources which are actually accumulated and compounded by some specific individual are dissipated through a combination of taxes and the shorter time horizons or worse decision making of the inheritors, which almost always regresses to the mean. And a large enough fortune can prevent it for many generations, but empirically fortunes do not continually grow due to compound interest but tend to be diminished and dispersed over time. This will stop occurring with mortality, since the original accumulators will stay around and continue accumulating indefinitely, so control of the resource will never pass to less qualified descendants and be squandered. Power and resources over time will increasingly pass to the best compounders of the early generations, will become increasingly concentrated there, all things equal, in a rapidly growing singularity economy. However, this effect could well be dwarfed by much higher growth rates of the economy compared to the interest rate. Reverse of Piketty, we could have GR for a long period. Reverse of Piketty, what is that? Capital in the 21st century. Capital. French economist Thomas Piketty. Wealth and inequality in Europe and the United States since the 18th century. French central thesis is that when the rate of return on capital is greater than the rate of economic growth, the result is concentration of wealth. And the unequal distribution of wealth causes social and economic stability. Piketty proposes a global system of progressive wealth taxes to help reduce inequality and avoid the mass majority of wealth coming under the control of tiny minority. Improved financial technology also encourages greater concentration and accumulation of wealth. If you read the past biographies, very common theme is for family wealth to be destroyed. A series of bad investments in the newly created industrial sector in the early days, where only investments were high risk, it was impossible to index, and there were strong adverse selection effects. Mature substantially, and bad investments which zero out the initial capital are fairly easy to avoid and aggregate. Extremely safe fire and forget strategy, which at minimum will cause capital to grow roughly with the rate of general economic growth with little risk except extreme tail risk. Practical for the average person in the 80s, such a strategy can enable wealth to be maintained across long and increasing time horizons compared to the early days of finance with little effort or judgment required. Increasingly aged beings, we should expect greater and greater rigidity set in. Individual minds will be able to accumulate resources and control over thousands or millions times, which will push asset price in specific locations to incredible highs and also mean that younger agents will require exceptionally long times to catch up. Is not the worst in a world with essentially immortal agents. effectively a billionaire compared to an ever-growing population of much younger regions, but then working compounding for a few years until that is corrected is relatively normal, just an extended version of today where old people or considerably richer younger people spend much of their time accumulating assets while working to prop up house and stock prices, which are held primarily by the old through their consumption economic activity. The transition from this world to this new equilibrium will be an incredible boon for anybody who's acquired assets of any sort prior to widespread anti-aging, which will again be primarily the first forever generation. Much more slowly, as there will be little turnover of people at the top of institutions, the primary mechanisms of change will not be that institutions themselves change, but that slowly existing institutions become irrelevant and diminished, versus new ones which are built from scratch and are created to fill new niches. While in some industries this happens relatively quickly, but still over the course of decades in the case of institutions such as governments, universities, and this can take centuries. Self-renewal will become the paramount traits as well as very long horizon action coherence. Even if it might be changing slower, the world will still be changing dramatically every generation, and those older will have to be able to maintain the cognitive flexibility to adapt to and thrive with these changes. Today this rarely happens, even though the old often have the most capital and the most experience and connections to capitalize upon their cognitive flexibility and high opportunity and switching costs prevent them from taking advantage of new opportunities, ceding them to the young. Innate cognitive flexibility diminishing with age would presumably be solved by anti-aging technology. However, the opportunity cost would stay real, as with the challenge of unlearning old experiences and patterns of success. When the fundamentals underlying them change, minds that are able to successfully navigate these trade-offs will become increasingly powerful over time. Longest time horizons, adaptability is everything. At the same time, there is unnecessary balance to make between understanding the eternal fundamentals and the contingent and correctly distinguishing which is which. Inherent cognitive trait versus part of actual underlying hardware. But certainly we would need to become minds which can both remember and recall extremely long experiences as necessary while maintaining a core of flexibility and plasticity which can underpin continued learning and growth. Indefinite period of curiosity and generation of novelty. Oh wow, you read the entire thing. This was very interesting. Strong mind continues its trajectory of creativity. A very strong mind is produced by trajectory of creativity. A trajectory of creativity that produces a very strong mind is hard to separate from the mind's operation. So a strong mind continues on its trajectory of creativity as long as it is active. A strong mind is produced by trajectory of creativity. A trajectory of creativity that produces a very strong mind is hard and separate from the mind's operation. So a strong mind continues on its trajectory of creativity as long as it is active. If a mind is highly capable, it got to that point by gaining understanding in a voyage of novelty. If the mind gains understanding that is novel for all the surrounding minds, pre-existing humans, it does so through creativity, generating novelty rather than merely copying it. If the mind becomes much more capable than the surrounding minds in a surviving on trajectory of creativity, something about the mind implies that it generates understanding that is novel to the mind and its environment. If the mind is on a trajectory of creativity that brought it to the point of being highly capable, its trajectory of creativity probably carries the mind much further, making the mind much more capable than it already is. Being highly capable, its trajectory of creativity probably carries the mind much further, making the mind much more capable than it already is. The X-core of a mind's creativity is the element out of which comes normal structure, almost entirely dependent on the search apparatus. Wait, what is this? Whoa. Trajectory and operations are hard to separate. Making doesn't imply understanding. The X-core is all creative. Mental operation includes creativity. A strong mind continues its trajectory of creativity. What is the key idea here? Modern AI's creativity mostly comes from training, not runtime. When C says the X-core for modern AI system is almost entirely dependent on the search training apparatus. Gradient descent, huge data sets, compute. Once the model is trained, its ability to generate new structure or genuinely novel understanding is extremely limited. Of course, AI is shallow and temporary. The author acknowledges that models like Stable Diffusion or large transformers show small sparks of creativity at inference time, but minor surface level novelty, nothing is deeply integrated into the system, accumulate into lasting understanding operate differently. Creativity is built into our ongoing thinking. It's not something evolution applies from outside. It happens during thinking, connections, reframings, reorganizing concepts, inventing new structures. This accumulates over time into a stronger mind. Capability is separated from creativity. Strong minds, they are intertwined. Human-like or superhuman must have creativity embedded in its everyday operation. Modern AI doesn't. Its creativity pipeline is outside the runtime loop. If a mind became strong because of creativity baked into its operation, then you can shut off its creativity without shutting off the mind itself. Became strong because of creativity baked into its operation. Wow, 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 wow. Wow, 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 wow. Very, very, very deep, very philosophical over here. Okay. So non-zero creativity happens at the collision of elements that happens in, say, a single run of a stable diffusion image model or a large transformer language model, but it's not much creativity, and the found structure is about as temporally grasped as possible. Just because you can make something doesn't mean you understand how it works. Setting up a distal X quo, a proximal X quo for a neural net comes from the accumulated hidden features they set up, the context in which the next little tweak is beneficial. Turn off the proximal X quo of human scientific understanding just by turning on the distal X quo. Scientific creativity doesn't require that genetic evolution is continuing. By taking sedatives or by punishing creativity, we can in a haphazard way turn off some human creativity while retaining some operation. Isn't deep enough for us to make explicit the X quo, the creativity of a strong mind. So if we make a strong mind, it's because we made something that finds its X quo of creativity. A change that accumulates to constitute creativity is part of and continuous with the everyday operations of mind. Physiology is continuous with ontogeny. Millennials as the forever generation. If a mind's operation and creativity can be separated, the mind can operate without also exercising its creativity. A strong, very strong mind became strong by being on a strong trajectory of accumulating novelty through creativity. So as long as a very strong mind continues to operate, it continues forward on its trajectory of creativity, gaining more and more understanding. This just reminds me of Tim Urban. I need to look into Tim Urban. Automating laundry is truly one giant step for mankind. Co-founder, previously at Microsoft, Make My Trip. Noida, India. Okay. I need to look into Tim Urban. Tim Urban. Okay, let's go. Let's go. This was really good. Millennials. Let's go. Wait, but why? New post, 24th October. Okay. All my thoughts from this weird wild world of toddler fatherhood. The full spectrum of opinion on abortion. You can kill anyone you want. Erection should be illegal. Huh. You can kill babies until they turn 1. All abortion should be legal until birth. Abortion should be legal until the fetus could theoretically survive outside the womb. Should be legal until the end of the first trimester. All abortion should be legal from the moment of conception, except in cases of should be illegal from the moment of conception. Contraception should be illegal. Masturbation should be legal. Okay. Who knew? Crossbreeding. Lions and tigers. Lion male. Liger. Tigon. Liger male. Tigon. Tiger female. Tiger male. Lioness. Okay. Male and female tiger can produce a liger, the world's largest big cat. A male tiger and female lion, by contrast, yield a tigon, which is noticeably smaller. Ligers, lion father, tiger mother, can exceed 400 kg. Wow. This gigantism arises because growth suppressing genes present in both pure species are absent or silenced in the hybrid, allowing unchecked development. Tigons averages 180. Averages 180, sometimes lighter than the mother lion. Here, growth inhibiting genes from both parents remain active, capping size. Though ligers and tigons share identical parental species, the direction of the cross dramatically alters gene expression and final body mass, illustrating the powerful nuanced role of maternal and paternal genetics in hybrid environment. Do we have ligers? Do we have ligers? Show me the photos of liger. Beautiful. Wow, this is actually really cool. This photo is like, it shows you exactly what is happening. Lion and tiger. Tawny backgrounds like lions, faint tiger, grow larger than either parent species. Captivity, the natural habitats of do not overlap in any way that would make wild mating likely. Recording fertility, male ligers are generally sterile, while female ligers may sometimes be fertile. Large size. Genes that normally limit growth in one parent species are absent when the mother is a tigress. This is a beautiful animal. Beautiful animal. Because ligers do not occur in the wild. No natural conservation purpose. Many experts argue that breeding of ligers raises ethical concern. Large size means larger welfare burden, potential for health issues, and the breeding doesn't support species survival efforts. Others have increased risk of organ issues, neurological problems, or development disorders typical of some hybrid animals. Fame by the film Napoleon Dynamite, where the main character says the liger is his favorite animal. Record largest cat title has been given to a liger named Hercules the liger, weighing over 900. Why the size? Okay. What is the future of liger? Are we still making them? Yes. Oh my god, what is that? Oh my god, what is that? That is ugly. But this was beautiful. This was beautiful. Guinness Book of World Records. Largest living cat. Oh, this is Hercules. Oh my god. Hercules is beautiful. Male liger. Housed at Middle Beach Safari, South Carolina. Wow. Okay. Brand captivity, though the practice is controversial, far from mainstream. The ranges and behaviors of the two normally don't overlap. Recent estimates suggest 100 ligers globally. Unknown numbers because many are in private collections. Wow. Increasing number of ligers. Thailand's liger population already more than doubled in 5 years span recently. Breeding continues. I mean, why wouldn't people want this? Like, if you can make something like Hercules, that's beautiful. Conservation value. Okay. They don't exist in the wild naturally, and their existence doesn't help preserve the parent species. Many conservation bodies argue the practice is pointless. Hybrid big cats like ligers often suffer from exaggerated growth, organ strain, higher rate of illness, behavioral neurological problems. Grow big, too big for their own organs, in fact. Birth complications, lower fitness, increased morbidity. Some breeders create ligers for attraction, spectacle, or profit rather than welfare or science. Actually discourage ligand breeding for these reasons. I mean, it makes sense. You have to somehow sustain them, so you need resources. How do you get resources? They are an attraction. They become an attraction. Exotic hybrids is tightening in many jurisdictions. increasingly seen as non-scientific and non-ethical. For instance, some regions exempt hybrids from stricter protections applied to tigers and lions. Perverse incentives. Welfare crisis, increased regulation, population stabilization, decline. Okay, we learned something interesting. Massimo. Smoking on airplanes was banned in 1990 for domestic flights and 2000 for international flights. Still smoke. From Delhi to Bhutan. Did you take this? So sick. Yeah, dying to go. Interesting. So he's the universal disconnect. Husband's saying wife is requesting a life coach session, when what she actually wants is a therapy session. Wife, problem? Me? Solution? I don't want solution. Free societies don't automatically stay free. They choose again and again to be free. America worked because at our best we made a libertarian wager. When you let people think what they will and say what they think, you get more truth, more creativity, more prosperity, more innovation, more authenticity, and more safety over time than any system of control can deliver.
I remember reading a theory of history a long time ago, which gave a persuasive explanation for why human societies seem to repeat the same mistakes over and over. Every generation, it said, only really learns what to do, how to think, and which pitfalls to avoid from the two preceding generations with which it has direct contact. We don't learn lessons from history, we learn them from our parents and grandparents. For proof of this, if you're around my age, you're likely to know a fair bit about World War II and almost nothing about World War I. No one watching this who is not explicitly a history nerd will know much more than the meaningless basics about the Napoleonic Wars. In other words, if history repeats itself, or at least rhymes, it is because we are repeating the mistakes of our great-grandparents, i.e. people who lived 80 to 90 years ago and could not personally warn us. As the saying goes, those who do not know history are doomed to repeat it, and those who do know history are doomed to watch others repeat it. This is why I think many people cannot see what is happening on the right, following the split which began with the invasion of Ukraine and was wedged open.
Do the results come in from this NYC mayor's race? I don't see anything on X about it. Have to close this page now because strangers watching you doom scroll. It's like your brain being naked in front of them. Elsa Stodder can ruin your week. Friday, Achu. Sunday, Achu. Week ruined. Full post. Tales from Toddlerhood. Hi, my first baby, and all the things that confused me about doing so. I was back here. On one hand, now time doesn't exist at all. Wake up. So many wake up at 7:30. 7:30 is bedtime, lying on couch. 70% of this time spent strapping people into car seats. Baby naps, toddler nap. Okay. On the other hand, the second child is easier than the first. First baby, you know, she's not perfectly centered. Second baby, dinner. But I'm not here to talk about the new baby, delightful and obese as she may be, that I report to you from the depths of toddler parenthood. I always thought 2-year-olds were basically unconscious blobs with a cold, but it turns out they're actual people you can get to know. Having now spent some time cohabitating with one, I made the following discoveries. You can be simultaneously completely obsessed with and dramatically bored by the same person. My daughter will toddle in. The cow says moo, it does. Run over to me and give me a hug. But for the best part of my day, her smile fills me with utter joy. Her little voice is sent straight from heaven. I feel the purest possible love for her. It's just that I also find her groundbreakingly boring. A 5-minute hangout is one thing, but when I'm deep in an afternoon with her, it's hard to come to any other conclusion than that I've spent my last 3 hours with a person whose IQ is 20. Toddlers are dicks. Haha, oops, I forgot you like to unwrap the baby bell yourself. Oh. Spent on Thomas Swanson in the mid-20th century totalitarian dictators at the drop of a hat, but they are dicks in less obvious ways too. I was playing with Legos. I sat down next to her, asked her what she was building, and she said Daddy needs to work in his office. Answered him that I should leave her the fuck alone, that he needs to work in his office, or the times I cook a whole thing for her with care and love, and she refuses to take a bite, making me feel cluey for myself. What is that? Clueiness. A weird kind of sad. Okay. Most recently, I made the mistake of telling her my age, and now she says Daddy's 43 like 30 times a day, constantly filling me with existential dread. I love you. I love mommy. No one wants to see videos of someone else's toddler. Toddler parenthood is a reality distortion zone that makes it hard to remember that most people find your toddler breathtakingly uninteresting. It's not even halfway done. Friends who have kids the same age as yours are kind of in a cohort together, so parents of toddlers, whole throng of toddlers in their lives. Amongst my cohort, I have both been an offender and frequent victim of toddler video showing. Tax we all pay. I try to at least minimize the fallout from my and toddler baby photos and videos I send to friends, family, wife. And he writes, yeah, he wants to make sure nobody copies. That's the, what do we call it? That's the, what do we call it? That's the watermark, the WBW store. Someone else's toddler can ruin your week. Friday, achoo. Sunday, achoo. Week ruin. Geniuses were also very dumb. If I took my daughter to China for a year and we just lived there with no language instruction, I would come back knowing approximately 6 Mandarin words and she would be fluent hearing the language, but somehow they do. They're weird freak geniuses. But then she says stuff like, would you like a strawberry, when she wants a strawberry, because when you say you, it refers to her, so she now thinks you is a synonym for her name, which is very unimpressive. Would you like a strawberry? Wow. Would you like a Would you like a strawberry? Strawberry? Likewise, the other day I read her a new book for the first time. And then the second time I read it to her, she stopped me in the middle to correct something I said. I accidentally skipped a word, which she knew because she somehow memorized the whole book on the first read. But then we'll pick up another book and she will stare at the page for a million years looking for where Curious George is hiding, even though he's obviously right the fuck there. Toddlers have a highly inaccurate worldview. I'm the only person, everyone else is a figment of my imagination. There are other people too, but they are all here for my benefit. Other people are living their own lives, but they all know and love me. I'm just a random person. Take our toddler to story time at the library, but the librarian reads a book to a bunch of kids. The first time it took her, she decided to take matters into her hands in mid-story, went inside of the librarian's lap. The issue is that she hadn't quite figured out that the world does not exist entirely for her benefit. It's understandable. You're born into the world, and for the first few years, everyone you see smiles and waves at you, so you overestimate your importance. Only slowly do you learn what's really happening. This is part of the broader phenomenon of a toddler not really having any idea what's going on. They don't know about death or money or history or sex or the Big Bang, or basically anything about reality. They just emerge out of nowhere and start being, which for some reason doesn't strike them as weird or confusing. Do you have any idea what's going on? Litmus test says, if you're walking down the street and an elephant flies down from the sky, hovers 10 feet above you and says hello in a silly cartoon voice before flying off, would you be like, oh my god, what just happened? Or would you just shrug and be like, I guess that's something that happens? If the latter, you have no idea what's going on. Most 2-year-olds fail this test. Toddlers are both the funniest and least funny possible people. I said kerplunk and she found it hilarious. For the next 10 minutes she kept picking things up, dropping them and saying Kerplunk, hysterically laughing each time. Can you get out of space? Which my wife and I now say to each other whenever we want the other to move. Another time, we had to rip a band-aid off her leg, after which she said, I am so perfectly sad. And now my wife and I say that anytime we are unhappy about something. Get out of space. Can you get out of space? You have also discovered an amazing hack. You can just teach a toddler to say whatever you want. We taught her to say Mamma Mia whenever she falls over, which I highly recommend to other toddler parents. Very strong opinions and everyone is very judgy. Imagine giving that to your kid. Imagine depriving your kid of that. The problem is for every strong opinion there is equally strong opposite opinion. Oh wow. Foster independence early. Independence comes later. Responsive parenting builds trust and security. Thrive on routine. Follow the natural rhythms and cues. Form limits consequences. Teach boundaries and respect. Punishment harms development. Use gentle parenting. Teach letters and numbers early. Structured academics too soon kills curiosity. No screens. Screens can be educational. Supervision, freedom. Don't cater to pickiness. Respect their preferences. Messing up all kinds of things. I'm mainly just trying to have fun with my little friend to the extent that I have a strategist basically. Spend lots of phone-free time with her. Show her that the world is a fun and fascinating place. Reason from first principles. Don't interrupt her when she's focused on daydreaming. Help her learn to be entertained by her own mind. Imposing lots of little rules, but where there are rules, be firm about them. Build problem-solving confidence, teaching her to become a person who says, I want to figure out the directions, instead of a person who says, let's just ask someone. Can take solace in the fact that parenting probably matters less than we think it does. Shape our little 2-foot tall companions. We should help guide them to become the best version of who they already are. Anyway, gotta go.